Hi everyone, today in Integrated Math 1 we're going to go over Chapter 5, Lesson 6. Here are the objectives. Make sure you write them down in your notes. Alright, so key concept for this chapter, graphing linear inequalities. Step 1, we want to graph the boundary. We want to use a solid line when the inequality contains less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. Well, remember, when we're looking at these ones, when they have the inequality with the equal to, you're using more ink. Well, that's a solid line. Just use the same logic like we were when we were graphing with open dot or closed dot. Then we're going to use the dashed line when the inequality contains less than or greater than. We don't have the extra line, so we're going to use less ink, which means a little dashed line. Like that one. The second step is to test a point to determine which half plane should be shaded. And then the last part would be to shade the half plane that contains the solution, so where it is true. Let's try this example. So we have 2x minus y, which is greater than 3. The first thing we need to do in order to graph this is to set it equal to y, because we don't have our equation yet. So go ahead and box y. Then we realize that we need to move the 2x minus 2x to both sides. So we have minus y, which is greater than negative 2x plus 3. Haven't done anything, but you should be looking at this and you should be thinking, I have the x, I have the y. It looks like it's going in slope-intercept form. Think about it, y is equal to mx plus b. It doesn't have this equal to, but we have an inequality and we can set it up the same way. And that's what we need to do. Now we're still going to get y by itself. So box the y, and we want to get the y by itself. We have an invisible 1 between the negative and the y. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 1. That means each of these numbers we're also going to divide by negative 1. That goes away. Y is now less than, because it flips, because we divided both sides by negative number. A negative divided by negative is a positive. So we have positive 2x. Then we have 3 divided by negative 1. Well, that's a negative 3. Remember, we said we want it to resemble this form. So we have our m, our slope, which is 2 over 1. So rise 2, run 2. Run 1, and then we have our y-intercept here, which will be known as 0, and in our case, negative 3. When we have our y-intercept, that is our starting point, so we know we're going to start there. So I have it graphed here, and I'll explain the graph because it's already... So I have it graphed to the left here. And I'll explain exactly how they got each of these points. And I'll explain the shading as well. So first of all, we said our starting point is 0, negative 3, which is this point right here. And then we want to rise 2 and run 1. Rise 1, 2, run 1. Rise 2, run 1. So you see, these points will form our line. Then I look at this sign here, and I see that this one is going to be a dashed line because you use less ink. And you can see that's here. But the main thing that we really also need to be checking is what side do we shade it? So I'm going to go back to my equation here. I have y is less than 2x minus 3. Then I look here, and I'm going to choose a point anywhere on this graph. The only thing I don't want to choose is a point that's actually on this line. Other than a point on this line, everything else you can choose. When your line is not on 0, 0, it's always a good idea to choose 0, 0 because it's the easiest one. If not, you can use 1, 1 or something like that. So I'm going to choose our point 0, 0 because it's not on this line. And notice here my x is 0 and my y is 0. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to substitute those in. Y is 0, which is less than 2 times 0 minus 3. Then I have 0, which is less than negative 3. 0 times 2 is 0 minus 3, which is negative 3. And then I look here. Is 0 less than negative 3? Well, that is false. And because it is false, you're going to shade the opposite side of where it is. So in this case, I'm going to shade to the right. And it's going to be underneath here. So it's all this that's shaded in blue. If it was true, I would shade that same side over here. But it is false for this one. And that's it.